Hi, in this video I'm going to teach you how to use EFT tapping to get relief from cat allergies, dog allergies, or really any kind of pet allergy. My name is Stefan Gonek. I'm an expert EFT practitioner, trainer, and soulmate attraction mentor from EFTalive.com. EFT can be amazingly effective at getting relief from any kind of pet allergy. I've helped many of my clients get relief from cat allergies, which tend to be the hardest ones to get relief from in a really short time. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to use it for yourself. So, it turns out that there are two ways to use EFT to get relief from pet allergies, really any kind of animal allergy, a simple way and then a deeper way. So in this video, we're going to get into a lot of detail about the simple way, and I'll give you some guidance as to how you might be able to try doing the deeper way for yourself. So the first step, whether you're using the simple way or the deep way, is to get a sample of the animal that you're allergic to. Now, if your allergies are really bad, you may not be able to do this part yourself. You may need to ask somebody else to do it for you. But basically, what you want to do, let's say, speaking of cats, right, is you want to get somebody to brush the cat's hair and then put some of that fur into a plastic baggie, one that's one of those Ziploc ones that seals really well. And also, you want to put some of the cat's litter in the baggie, too. Okay, now the same is going to be true for any animal. You get some of their fur and some of their sort of pee and poop, right, into a baggie. The point is you want to have a sample of the animal in a sealed container so that it's not going to actually expose you physically, so you don't start, get your eyes all start watering and all that stuff. But there's a way to expose you energetically to the animal. So that's why it's in a baggie. Okay, now assuming that you got this baggie with a sample of the animal in it, you're going to want to set yourself up so you can put it against your stomach or solar plexus. An easy way to do this is to have like a sweater on top of a shirt where you put it underneath the sweater so it kind of holds it in place for you. You can also just kind of use one hand to do it. You can use a belt, anything you want, just as long as you put it in that part of your body. Okay. Now, the really simple way, this is going to seem maybe even too simple, but lots of times this works all by itself very quickly, is we're going to tap on it in the following way. And the reason why this part is so simple is that the words you use are really not that important. What's really important is just exposing yourself energetically to the animal by putting the baggie against your body and then tapping using kind of almost any word. So here's where we're going to do it. So let's say, again, I'm going to stick with the cat example because it's the one that seems to come up the most often. Start tapping your crotch up point and you go, even though I have a problem with this cat stuff, okay, even though I have a problem with this cat stuff, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. And you do that 3 times. Even though I have a problem with this cat stuff, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even though I have a problem with this cat stuff, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. So we do that 3 times on the crotch point side of your hand. Okay. And now you're just going to say problem with this cat stuff. If it's a dog, problem with this dog stuff. If it's any other animal, problem with whatever the animal is, stuff, at each point. So problem with this cat stuff, 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 and you do a whole sequence. Okay, then you're going to do another round. Okay, so that'd be 2 rounds. Now, I'm going to come back to an optional thing you can do here. So right now, I'm just going to keep it the simplest possible case. So what you're going to do then is you're going to actually, after you do 2 rounds, the little bit more complicated version I'm going to tell you about, you're going to have something else you can do after every 2 rounds. But we're going to skip that part right now. So you're just going to do another 2 rounds. Problem with this cat stuff. Problem with this cat stuff. All the way through. Another 2 rounds, another 2 rounds, until you get up to around 12 rounds of tapping, just using the phrase, problem with this cat stuff, or problem with this dog stuff, problem with this rabbit stuff, whatever it is. Horses, So you're going to do 12 rounds of tapping. If you want to play it safe, you can do 20 rounds of tapping. You want to do enough tapping that it's going to help really clear out this allergy. And the reason why I say maybe even 20 is for the simplest possible case, we're not going to have a way of testing the results as we go along. Okay? So what you want to do is maybe an excess of tapping to make sure you got it. Because once you've done, say, 20 rounds of tapping, saying this problem with this cat stuff, the only way to test is to go expose yourself to a cat and see what happens, right? Now, there is another way to do it. And so I'm going to talk about it, but I don't have time in this video to teach you because I could do a whole other video on that. And that is to use something called muscle testing to see what your progress is. Okay, so I don't want to try and teach it in this moment, like I say, because it takes too long. But go to YouTube and say how to do muscle testing, and you'll be able to do it. So basically, I'll give you a quick idea as to how you would use the muscle testing once you've learned how to do it. So muscle testing tells you whether or not your body is okay with something or not okay. Okay, and it's a way of testing the strength of any muscle in your body without being exposed to the substance, in this case, say cat hair, and then to see if you are still allergic, if you're still having a negative reaction to it, you hold it against you and then you test your muscle again. Okay, so you would put the baggie far away from you, test yourself, you should be strong, your muscle should be strong, and then you get the baggie and hold it against you, and then your muscle would go weak, if you do that like at the very beginning, right? So once you have that working, what you would do is after every few rounds of tapping, you would test yourself to see if you are now strong when you expose yourself to the animal fur and everything. Okay? And that's how you can kind of check along the way to see if you've done enough tapping. Now, if you don't know how to do muscle testing, then you just have to do lots and lots of tapping just to make sure that, hopefully I got it, right? With muscle testing, you can tell definitely, did I do enough, yes or no? Okay, so that's why I didn't want to talk about that as we're going through it. Okay, now lots of times, this method alone works great. It's amazing how fast and effective it can be. So you get, like I said, you get a sample, you do, say, 20 rounds of tapping to be safe, and then you go visit somebody with that animal and just notice your reaction. Lots of times you will be, delightfully surprised. Like, oh my God, I'm not having my eyes get all watery and itchy and starting to have breathing problems and all this stuff. It can be really amazing. Now, for some people, doing it once can be a permanent relief from the allergy. Sometimes you'll find that you get relief and that lasts for weeks, months, even a year, but then it seems to gradually come back and then you have to do it again. But, one session of doing the simple approach may be all it takes to renew your healing of this allergy thing. So that is a simple method. It sounds very simple, obviously, right? All you have to do is say this one phrase as you expose yourself. And surprisingly, it works really well, lots of times. Now, what do you do if that doesn't work? Right? So you use this simple method, you go touch yourself and your eyes start watering up and the whole thing. It's like, wow, it didn't really help much at all. Now, EFT has a very high success rate with allergies, but sometimes you have to use the deeper method. Because sometimes there's a big emotional component to the allergy. Okay, sometimes there are emotional events that happened in your life that caused the allergy. I've had many clients who, for instance, early in their life, they did not have an allergy to that animal, to a cat or a dog or whatever. And then later in their life, they developed this really strong allergy. So a situation like that, it's a very good indication that there was some kind of event, emotional event, that actually created the allergy. Okay, I'm going to give you an example that's not pet related, but just so you can get an idea what I'm talking about. This is a really extreme case. There was a woman who was on a cruise ship that had this huge spread of food, this giant, sumptuous buffet that she was really enjoying, sampling every different kind of food that they had on the table. Just as a wonderful thing to do on her cruise, right? So she was sampling all these different kinds of foods, many, many different kinds. And then while she was on the cruise, she got a telegram that her son had was going to be sent to Iraq. This was during the Iraq War, right? And all of a sudden, he hadn't even gone yet, but all of a sudden she had this image in her mind of him coming back from Iraq in a body bag, and she fainted to the ground. So there was this huge emotional event that happened to her, and it happened to happen, while she was in the dining room, eating her meal. And so that all the food that she had eaten became associated with this sort of traumatic event. And after the cruise, she came back with sensitivities to every different kind of food she ate, right? So here's a case where she didn't used to have any negative reactions to any of these foods. In fact, she loved them. They're all delicious. But because of this extreme emotional event, she developed all these reactivities to those foods because they were associated with it. So that's just one really dramatic example of how we can create, in this case, a food allergy because of an emotional event, right? Now, I don't want to get into the examples of my clients because they're personal to them. That's why I use this other one, because it's very dramatic, and it's actually, she gave permission to give this example. So the deeper approach is to look for events that may have created the allergy to the pet, right? Now, this is a little trickier way to go about doing it, because lots of times it's not always that easy for us to figure it out for ourselves. So sometimes we need to go to an EFT practitioner to help us do this and then to address it effectively. But let me try and give you an idea of how to at least start. So the first step would be to think about, okay, have I always had this allergy my whole life? Or did it start after a certain age? Now, that's going to be a really good place to start looking is, okay, let's say this allergy started when I was 8, right? Before I was 8, I used to love cats, right? And pet them all the time. And then after 8, I had this really bad allergy. So the question becomes, what happened before the allergy kicked in, right? What was going on in the person's life, maybe somewhere in the year leading up to the beginning of the allergy, right? But sometimes, in her case, the reaction was really fast. But sometimes it doesn't have to be quite that fast. It can be an accumulation of things. So it could be a period of time where there's some kind of big emotional thing going on, and then that's what created the allergy to the pet. So an example might be parents getting a divorce, right? So that could be a big emotional event. Or it can be almost anything. That's the challenge. But you have to look for things that happened at near the time that the allergy started. Okay, now if you don't remember exactly when it started, that makes it just a bit more challenging. Now there's other methods that can be used to figure out what these emotional bases of the allergy are. But like I said, that tends to be hard to do by yourself. So the best suggestion I have for you is the one I already gave you, which is to look for things that are going on in your life right before the allergy started, or in the vicinity of when the allergy started. On the other hand, the simple method often works just fine. I've helped lots of people just doing that, and now you can do that for yourself as well. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, it would really help me and help other people to find this video if you would click on the like button for the video. It'd be wonderful to have you subscribe to my channel, as well as feel free to ask any questions you have about all this in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer them. All right, so keep tapping and see you on the next one.